Hi there. So it's a quiet Friday night and I'm just loving it. I love spending time just with me and you. I just like the quiet sometimes, The hush after the rain. And it certainly has been rainy today. Um, I had to wear my jacket because it's getting a bit colder. Should hang this thing up. But needless to say, oh, other objects. Moisturizers. Needless to say, I'm in my own space. I've been back in Sydney for, goodness, I think it's actually been 2 weeks now. That's, that would do it. That would do it in terms of getting over the jet lag, getting over the cold, getting over the, strange to say, homesickness of not being somewhere that I've kind of made into my second home, Kolkata, because I really love going there. I do. But anyway, that's not the topic of this video. This video is more take a glance back to think about those important times in my life where I really got a sense that I was not in the social group of male children, young male adults, that kind of thing. So I'm going to do my best because reconstructing points in time, memories, and so on can be quite a deep dive, and I don't want to make this video too long. But some of it may resonate with you if you also are trans, or even if you're gay and you have an early sense of your sexuality from childhood. Now that's the first port of call because I didn't have a very firm idea of being same-sex. I say same-sex because it assumes that birth assigned sex is your actual sex. Let's just say same gender attracted from an early age. I didn't have that sense. I certainly didn't have experiences of interacting on that level with peers. I know that people have, that sometimes they're the most adventurous accounts of childhood, early adulthood, of experimenting with eroticism. And Freud said a lot about this stuff. I won't go into it. But needless to say, a lot of gay men that I've spoken to talk about quite precocious senses of sexuality, of same-sex, same-gender attraction. Not so in my case. Sometimes I would hear those stories and think, wow, that's amazing that you would have that strong sense. But when you're trans, it comes down to what we call gender and embodiment. That you feel that you're in the wrong container, both physically, but also where you get put in boxes socially. And I had the experience, especially of the latter, at school. So while I could have male and female friends, and I certainly did, I did not have any sense of belonging to the social group known as boys. Whether that had to do with my pairing in the family with my younger brother, being called the boys, the both of us, which I really resented, or lining up in for class and going out to sports, being divided off. I didn't feel like I belonged there. And I couldn't work out why. Why? The teachers couldn't figure that out as well. Wasn't it evident? So here we're talking about the ages of 6, 7, 8, 9, that kind of thing. And there was just nothing I could do about it. But I always felt like the weaker one, frail, small, very small, amongst the boys. Now, in terms of, the physical aspects of not feeling at home, that depends on an awareness of sexual difference, and I don't suppose I had that until it really kicked in with puberty. Um, I felt ashamed about down there, and when I used the toilet, and it's been true, it sounds very graphic, my entire life, I have never used a urinal, ever, because it's foreign to me. I find it very strange, in general, that a man should walk into a quote men's toilet and want to expose himself to other men, right? I mean, maybe that's why some of these toilets function as pickup joints, as beads. It seems like those things go together. But no way did I feel like I could just stand and pee. No, 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 no. So that's from a very early age, and that has never changed. Marjorie Garber called this urinary segregation. And to be sure, that's a novel term, but I really felt like I was in the wrong toilet, the wrong space. Boys' bodies weren't like my sense of my body, and under no circumstances did I want those parts of my body to be seen, particularly by males. The other thing I would say is I was very shy about showing my chest, showing my body, stripping off to swim. I felt very vulnerable because of that, and there could be different reasons to explain that, but most noticeably, I always wore a t-shirt when I swam, and people used to tease me over that, but I just didn't feel comfortable. I really didn't. I never had that body confidence when someone feels fully embodied, in this case, in their maleness or their femaleness. And again, that has been something that has been very inhibiting my entire life. Puberty, yes, absolutely. That's when secondary sex characteristics and noticeable secondary sex characteristics differentiation really begins. And pardon me for saying this, but this is the kind of root of dysphoria. But even though it was very slow to actually develop and pass through puberty, I didn't really start until the age of 17 or something like that. Like deepening voice and facial hair and things like that. I found the idea of a male and male bonding thing and teaching a young male how to shave rebarbative, repulsive. Like there's anything but that I would ever want to do. But I didn't have much facial hair. When things like that started to be a bit more noticeable, and to be sure, it took a long time, and even into my early 20s, I was quite androgynous. And that's kind of when I sort of started to relate to my gender a bit differently as well. Like, I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl, or something like that, or maybe I'm a girl. The changing of the voice and musculature and all the really painful things that make you feel monstrous, that do not allow you to understand that person in the mirror as you, but instead a stranger, they really became much more evident with crossing the threshold into puberty and late puberty. I remember though, in my early adulthood, being with a good friend of mine and standing on the side of the road. I think we're trying to hail a taxi, and some louts, as we call them, ne'er-do-wells, yelled drunkenly out of a car and called us lesbians, the two of us. And, she was into women, and she's not exclusively into women, she's more into men these days. But I felt like it was horrible, but at the same time, yeah, I'm a lesbian. Like, I don't mind being seen that way. And I'm more like her than boys, to be completely frank. So there's just some little moments, actually, of my my early years, my teen years, and then my 20s, where things just weren't lining up for me. And that includes socially, that includes physically. I felt really grotesque, especially in puberty and late puberty. I felt like it was just wrong. and I got very, very, very depressed and dropped out of school. That put a lot at risk for me because I wasn't stupid, but the misrecognition factor was so strong, and any kind of exhibition of my femininity got a lot of kind of attention, and I remember being caught up by my tech drawing teacher, who said, "You're so immaculate, like, look at you. Out of all the boys, you just go to such care with your appearance." And of course, these were the 80s, and that was hair lacquer. But, like, look at me. I still have a lot of hair, even though it's shortish. I couldn't keep it under control, but apparently, that was just out of line, and that became cause for more teasing. More teasing. I definitely got teased, not to the extent of some other people that would get physically beaten up, but at school it was very unpleasant, to be walking that gender line, and everything about me was weird and just different. So that's why I couldn't really cope with school, right? Anyway, we're getting to 10 minutes. Oh, it's 11. So I'm just going to stop here. And maybe I'll tell the story of my 20s in a bit more detail later on, including how I came to terms with some aspects of embodiment, how I kind of tried to resist that, but also make do with what I had, even involvement in sex work and things like that. So, these are stories that not all of us tell, and there's many threads to these stories. We should never feel stigmatized about our bodies and our lives. The very many threads in our lives and the evolving histories of our body.